Hello, welcome back to the channel of nonsense. Now, dear viewer, I have a question for you. When is a hot hatch not really a hot hatch? Maybe when it looks a bit like a saloon, or when it's actually more spacious than most SUVs, or maybe, possibly, definitely, when it's a hybrid. Which brings me on to today's car, the new Skoda Octavia vRS hybrid. Yes, this is the new Skoda Octavia vRS. It's the sporty version of the Czech brand's new family car, and as with so much in life these days, you can tell its dark secrets by having a quick look at its flaps. Because it's a hybrid hot hatch. The world's exploding, and probably YouTube comments as well. Not on this video, no one watches them. Yes, because this is the hybrid, it is called the Octavia vRS IV. It's not something you stick in your arm. It's got the orange cables of electric death if you touch them. It's got a 1.4 litre engine, putting out 150 horsepower, and 114 horsepower from an electric motor. And combined, they give you 245 horsepower and 400 newton meters of torque. There's still a petrol-only version with 245 horsepower from a 2-litre petrol engine, as you've seen in the Golf GTI, and there's a diesel with 200 horsepower and 400 newton meters of torque, and a four-wheel drive option. Basically, if you can think of it, you can probably buy one, apart from a full electric one. And yeah, that is what it is. Small engine, motor, power, but is it a hot hatch? Is it powerful enough to be a hot hatch with a 1.4 litre engine? Let's find out. Now, as with so much in life, you don't get something good for free, apart from this YouTube channel. In turning the Octavia vRS into a hybrid, they've obviously given it a battery pack. It's a 13 kilowatt hour battery pack. It's good for 39 miles of driving, but it weighs 150 kilos. So it weighs 150 kilos more than the petrol version. The boot is still huge. It's also electrically opening. Yeah, the boot is 450 litres. It's still big, but it's 150 litres smaller than the regular petrol Octavia vRS hatchback, because you don't get any space under the floor because the battery's there. Charging cables and stuff live in there. It's still big, but just be aware that some compromises have been made in bowing at the altar of electricities. Before we go and do all the insidey stuff, I wanted to point out this. It's a rear window wiper, but it's listed on the spec sheet as a free of charge option. I think if you buy an Octavia vRS hatch, you don't have to have a rear wiper, but you can option one on for free. It's just like the Porsche 911 in many ways, this car. Apart from not many. Right, on the interior side of things, I'm not going to give you a full rundown of every nut and bolt in here because I'm going to be living with a petrol Octavia vRS next year. And also, I've already done an Octavia review, and lots of it's just normal Octavia. Worth noting, you get nice sports seats, Alcantara stuff here, red stitching, flat bottom steering wheel. But the main thing, because this is a hybrid, is the driving mode menu, which has a physical button. You should learn from that, Volkswagen. You've got E mode, which lets you just drive around and expending the battery and driving silently on the motor. And there's the hybrid mode. But if you untick this box here that says auto, you can actually set how much energy you want the car to reserve in the battery. So if you're doing a long trip and you know there's loads of motorways at the start, but you want to drive in silence when you get to your destination, you can actually tell it to keep, say, 50% of the battery saved for the end of your journey. It's clever, and it's a very easy way of helping people understand hybrids and how they work and how you can conserve energy. Obviously, it will charge the battery off the petrol engine if you need it to, and you've got your normal driving modes here as well, and individual shows that you've got Volkswagen Group's slidey scale of hardness for the adaptive dampers, which are an £800 option on this car, and it's bonging at me to tell me to drive rather than sitting here talking nonsense. But yeah, really nice interior. Hybrid stuff is really easy to use. Let's go for a drive. Now, obviously, part of the reason you would choose the hybrid Octavia vRS is because you do lots of short journeys around town. So, in the interests of consumer advice, I am doing some driving around town. Do you know what? It's very quiet. This new Octavia, when I drove the normal one, I found that that was an impressively refined cruiser, even at motorway speed. So around town, well, the hybrid's even better. It's quiet, it's easy to drive, and you've got that electric shove. Yeah, I'm going to pull away in a second, and hopefully you'll hear that. Ooh. You get a bit of a whir from the electric motor, but that's about it. This is a bit of dodgy road dug up by roadworks a million times. It's fine. So yeah, as a round towny thing, this is very quiet and refined. But is it sporty? Right, enough of the round town stuff. Let's get on some twistier roads, and I'm pleased to report that, yeah, you can still drive this quite quickly. It doesn't feel as sharp to turn into corners as something like a Golf GTI, and you do sense a little bit of the extra weight of the batteries when you're in fast corners. But for most people on most roads who are coming to this as a family car, it's fine. We're going to get to a 60 limit in a minute, and I'll show you what the acceleration is like. 0 to 62 on paper is 7.3 seconds, top speed of 139 miles an hour, so it is about half a second slower than the pure petrol car, and about the same as the two-wheel drive diesel. The four-wheel drive diesel is faster. There's a lot of things to talk about when it comes to the powertrains of the new Octavia vRS. I'm going to shut up. The lane assist does seem quite intrusive. How many presses to turn it off? Two presses. Right then, we're coming up to one of my favourite hot hatchy roads. Let's put it in sport mode. There we go, and let's see what a 1.4 litre engine and an electric motor feels like. It's 30 to 60. Pretty quick, there we go, at 60. Skoda actually says the hybrid version is a lot faster from 50 to 70 miles an hour than the petrol version by something like 2 seconds. And yeah, it's got noticeable mid-range punch from the electric motor. What I would say is you don't seem to reap the benefits of the electric motor until the gearbox is kicked down as well. So you don't get instant shove, but once the gearbox is in the right gear, you get loads more torque than you would expect. It's very quiet, the engine. It doesn't sound especially sporty. I'm using the paddles to downshift, and I'm not getting a cacophony of rally-style backfire, but yeah, it grips and goes, and it handles in a sporty fashion. It's just not, you know, exceptionally quick, but it's quick enough, and you know, once you're up to speed, just turn it into a corner, trail brake. Woohoo! Quite sideways there, but that's more to do with the mass of the batteries rather than anything else. It feels, I would say, it feels a bit like a Golf GTI with 2 or 3 condoms on. But it's good. It's just not a super sharp tool, but it's a lot sportier than the regular vRS. And that's kind of the point. Right. Yeah, I'm quite impressed. I'm quite impressed for what it is, for a sensible-ish hybrid version of an already sensible hot hatch. It's sensible, but you can still go quite quickly in it, which is good. Right, enough of me cocking about. Back to you, Tim, for an outro to make sense of this hybrid hot hatch. So, in conclusion, does the new Skoda Octavia vRS IV work as a hybrid hot hatchback? Well, sort of, because in a way, Skoda's Octavia vRS has never been a tear your face off kind of hot hatch, but it's been a more considered thing for families and people that just want some performance, but with loads of space and just practical family accoutrements, I guess. And sure, the performance isn't going to set your hair alight, but more and more of us are doing driving in town rather than doing long distances, and that 40-mile electric range is pretty decent. It's refined, it feels nice inside. It's the same price as a Golf GTE at 35 grand before options, and it's a lot more car than a Golf GTE with exactly the same powertrain. So yeah, it's pretty good. I would probably still have the petrol Octavia vRS just because it's faster and it gives you the performance that you would want. But it's an interesting thing, and it's nice that we have more choice, isn't it? Anyway, thank you ever so much for watching. I've been Tim Rohde, driving stuff, well, this, and I'll see you very soon. Please like, comment, subscribe, even if you've hated it, and hit my bell, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.